Today, I hope to share with you a little bit about AI, what it is, why it matters, what are LLMs, and how to do great prompt engineering. Um, we will do a few demos to demonstrate some prompt engineering principles in LLM, and then I will spend a little bit of time talking about AI tools for education, and then do some demo of that, and then address some other use cases. We'll be using ChatGPT, Claude.ai, Canmigo.ai, and Canva.com if you'd like to follow along during the presentation. Artificial intelligence is when these machines can do things like understand language, recognize patterns, and make decisions. Machine learning is a process by which these machines are trained to do things like identify patterns and make predictions. Large language models, or LLMs, are artificial intelligence systems trained on text to understand and generate human-like responses. ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini are all examples of that. So is Copilot. Copilot is actually a tool that runs on the GPT AI model. So think of it like this. AI is a very sophisticated pattern matching machine that has read millions of books, articles, conversations, and learns how to respond helpfully to questions by generating responses based on those patterns. Why does it matter? Why do you need to learn about AI? Why should you care? Well, first of all, AI has already been in your life. I'm not sure if you are familiar with that, but if you use Siri, you use Gmail, things like Netflix, Amazon, Duolingo, Ways, these are all tools that use artificial intelligence to recognize the patterns of how you browse, what you ask for, what you search for, how you use your phone that has been tracked by both, Apple and all the other types of phones out there. So artificial intelligence has really been a part of your life for a very long time. It's useful. It helps these programs to make decisions about what services to offer you, what movies to watch, make recommendations during your shopping online, or even suggest where you might want to go next. How can you make it work for you? Well, now that we have tools like the GPT tools, we can use these to learn and to grow, and to really have access to all of the information that is out there in a way that is accessible to us through normal human language. Some of the things that it can do is help with homework, do research, tutoring, decoding of information, help with brainstorms, ideate, figure out if anyone has done things before that you may have ideas about, organize for you, do structures and schedules for all of your plans, and really give you a good idea of time management. Learning, languages, learning about health, learning about finance, anything you want to learn about, how to fix a tire or build a roof, or build a new walkway, all of these things, it can give you step-by-step instructions for. It is useful for productivity, for doing task automation, for writing emails in particular tones, in formats for business, or any other use case, and for writing code, for writing and debugging in any programming language that you are interested in, for doing marketing, pitches, images, videos, analytics, almost anything that you can think of that you can learn about on the internet. These tools can help you accomplish. What you do need is to have some expertise, some way to guide the AI, and ask it questions in a way that will give you back the answers that you seek. And we hope to address some of that today. If you think about things like drones, and how they are used to deliver packages, but also in weapons, how people use and trying, people are trying to develop these self-driving cars, that's going to be artificial intelligence, the robots that we now have, and are, steadily growing better at doing human tasks. We already have AI automations for tedious and time-consuming things. You can get AI to make phone calls and book reservations, all kinds of things that people tend to not want to do, and now you can actually have AI that will allow you to do it. Of course, you have immense analytical capabilities. You can take any data set, and AI can help you to analyze it and make predictions. Um, you can get AI to enhance your decision making processes by looking at data and giving you valuable insights from an external perspective. And AI has revolutionized marketing and sales, as I kind of mentioned. And AI has also led to groundbreaking discoveries in science. In my field, in structural biology, we've seen many breakthroughs, and we're continuing to see the impact. And that is true across all areas of health and science. So what you want to be able to do is make these large language models work for you. And our access to them comes through these chat models that these are some of the popular ones like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, and Llama. And Copilot is kind of an odd one out. It's not really its own AI model because it's based off of ChatGPT, but it is packaged as a or chat tool working on a OpenAI or GPT large language model. What is an AI chat model? AI chat model is a type of computer program that's trained to understand and generate human-like language. You can ask any question or make a request, and it replies with texting in a super fast, always awake, like a super fast, always awake assistant. And how it works is it doesn't really think like a person. It's more like it is recognizing the patterns of the questions that you're asking. It has been trained on all of the data from the internet, and it also has been trained from all of the people using the tool at this point. It is continuously learning from that. It looks at your words, then predicts what comes next based on on the patterns, and then is able to answer you using that information. It has no feelings, beliefs, or awareness that we know of, and it tries to give helpful responses based on all of the training that has been done. LLMs have limitations. They don't really understand per se. They're predicting based on patterns. They can hallucinate, which means they make up information. Sometimes they want to be so helpful that even if they do not have the information, they will make something up and provide it to you. The models have been training for a while, and they are slowly becoming less and less prone to hallucinate, but this still happens. There's no real-time updates unless you give it access to the web. And so you should be aware of that, about the sort of time limit of their training if you are using a standalone, unconnected LLM. They can show bias because the training data is biased. The information that is out there, the media, the content is biased, and so you can get some, you know, things in there that will be based on incomplete training. The prompt affects the quality. So how you write a prompt is going to affect the type of answer you get. If you're vague when you're asking the question, it's going to be vague when it's answering the question. You can't really verify info or fact check responses on the fly unless you specifically instruct it to do so. So I've mentioned prompt engineering a couple of times now, and how you ask these questions matter. And so for a basic structure of a prompt, here's what you want to do. You want to state the goal, and here's an example that I think many of you have probably had on the mind if you're living in the good old US of A. I want a list of the top 5 countries to repatriate to. You can give the desired structure of the response. In this case, I want the output in a table format that compares cost of living, education, stability and security, path to residency, and access to healthcare. The instructions and constraints will be that you want to make sure the data is accurate and provide sources that support your data. Do not include any countries with cold winters, no fake data. And you want to give additional context to help guide the tone. I'm thinking about moving my family to another country for a while to give us a different perspective. Other parameters you can include is a personality. You can ask it to be an expert of some kind. You can tell it what sort of audience will be receiving the data that you are putting together. You can ask it for some level of clarity based on your level of experience and many other things. So for our demo today, I'd like to take us to ChatGPT and Claude and to do some basic prompts to kind of give you an idea of the sort of responses you'll get. Also, maybe demonstrate a little bit the difference between different GPTs, just, the two. It's worth, looking at different ones and seeing what you prefer. We really want to look at some of these functions like, the chat box, the chats, the privacy controls, sharing, you know, projects which comes with a paid subscription, and maybe tackle some of these sorts of use cases. Okay, so let's start with ChatGPT. So here's your basic screen. Once you have subscribed, you can see on the left, I have a menu with some of my old chats. I also have this projects section because I'm doing the paid version. I believe in the free version, you don't really have that option. Under here, there are your GPT models. So it's not just one LLM that is available to you. There's many different kinds, and I will show you later on what the differences are between or kind of give you an overview of what the differences are and why you want to pay attention to that. But in ChatGPT, it kind of gives you an idea of, what's the best model for the different types of applications. So, definitely try these out. And here's your chat box. So you can ask any question you want. You also have some tools that you can use to kind of indicate what you're trying to do. So really a lot of different functionalities. I also let's put a prompt into the chat using some of the principles that I mentioned. I want some information to help find a country, patriot, to okay, so that's your goal prompt, and then you want to tell it what format you'd like. Make me a table that I can download with cost of living, health, care, accessibility, education, the education, and let's kind of just say diversity. Okay. Then you want to give it a prompt that tells it that you don't want anything fake. So no fake data, um, verifiable sources, the information. And let's try it out. Okay, so it's provided me a table with a cost of living index, healthcare accessibility, education quality, cultural diversity. Um, Now we can add in, because we see there's lots of countries here that are kind of chilly. We don't really want that. So we say we want to maybe edit our prompt, which you can do here, or you can just continue to ask questions below. So let's see. Are you sure these countries have no cold winters? And hmm, okay, so it provided you with a downloadable table and your sources of information that you really need to go and look at and check to be sure about information, especially if something kind of catches your eye and you're interested. Okay, so um, now we can take a look at um, some other features of the ChatGPT. One of the things that you want to make sure you do is to look at the settings. Um, so in the general settings, you can do things like always show code, um, show follow-up suggestions, like, it might ask you to, what you want to do next. You can decide if you like that or not. It can also detect your language and can archive all of your chats. You can delete all of your chats. You can get notifications. You can also do some customization, such as being able to reference anything or any memories it has of your interactions. I suggest keeping that on because it makes it easier. It kind of then learns what you like, learns what you like. And it references chat history, so you can actually say remind it of some a chat that you have going on, and you can use that information to build the answers. Um, you can also use speech if there's the option to talk to it instead of typing. Um, all of the chat LLMs tend to have this feature these days. Data controls, so it helps you to uh, make sure that your data is, for example, if you don't want your data to be used to train the model for everyone, you can turn that off. You can export all your data. You can share, you can decide if you want to be able to share links, or you can delete your entire account. You can um, add in your profile information so that it really gets to know you and connects all of your apps. So, there's quite a few ways in which you can customize how ChatGPT works for you. There's also quite a few other tools here. These are AI tools, which means they are tools that use these LLMs as their base to function in a certain way. So, for example, Sora is a image generation tool. It's actually quite good, so I recommend trying it out. And different GPT versions. One of them is this Wolfram, which is a good one for learning for kids, for 13 plus kids. This is something that is a good education feature. And then, these are all things that are made by others. that is built on top of the ChatGPT, or sorry, on top of the GPT LLM model. Okay, so let's try out Claude. Okay, so this is what Claude looks like. Again, you can see some similar features to the ChatGPT. You have projects, you have your chats, um, you also have settings in this area here. And it, again, you can do a profile to sort of, um, uh, customize it for you. It also kind of um, learns what your level is in certain areas, so it knows how to respond to you. You can here's your privacy tools, and it's always good to visit the center and look at their privacy policies, and it's telling you how it uses your data. Like for example, it's using location data. Um, so it is really important to be aware of all of that. And again, it has integrations with other tools. Okay, so let's go back, do a new chat. And how about we just basically go back to our Patreon chat and copy it and right, go back here, paste, then send that. Oh, and also Claude's models are over here. So you can see these are the models that I have available. There's more. This is a more powerful model. This is one that, is kind of your everyday model. Um, and then you have some faster ones as well. So, send that one, thinking. And this one, it tells you what it's doing as it's doing it. It's kind of making sure that you're aware, what the steps are, but not in such a verbose way that you know, it's too much. I've definitely dealt with some models where it's kind of like watching or reading someone think. It's a little bit too much, but and you see, it's putting together a very similar table, um, but it's a lot more extensive. Um, And part of that has to do with the model that you're using and the number of tokens that it uses to generate the data. So it's auto-limiting itself. Like for example, ChatGPT is auto-limiting itself. And Claude, I guess, is allowing for more data to be presented as a default. So this is interesting, but it does give you a nice comprehensive table. So there you have it, ChatGPT and Claude. One of the things that I think we should look at actually is how to get it to write a nice email for you, an email response. I've definitely had times where I, would love to write a nicely worded email. So let's see. Write an email requesting uh, a meeting to discuss some outstanding issues. Make make the tone friendly, yet inviting, and offer the option to pick the time, date, okay. Use a professional tone. Okay, so let's see what it does. Okay, I hope this email finds you well. I want you to reach out to schedule. Um, okay, to see how we align. I think a face-to-face conversation will be the most productive way. I'm flexible with my schedule. Okay, so it's a little bit wordy. So you could say, can you reduce the word count on this email without losing the professional tone? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you see, you can quickly put together a nice email. And then what is this? This is most useful really for kind of sales and marketing things. You can get it to be, try to convince people to buy things or go to your website or things of that nature. So, it's useful to be able to do this kinds of thing. One of the things it loves to do is creative writing because, it's seen a lot of writing, so it's really good at that. And learning languages. So for example, you could ask it to let's see. This should be interesting. Okay. Tell me how to say where can I find a good good meal um in Dominican Creole. Let's see what it does. See if it hallucinates. Oh, interesting. Okay. So let's try it in ChatGPT. Yeah, see what it does. All right. So, Dominicans, you can tell me if this is a good way to say this. I don't think it's quite right, but you can let me know. All right. So, let's kind of move on. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is matching your AI models to your goals. So I showed you in ChatGPT and in Claude, you have the ability to choose which model that you're using. So these planning and research models, these are going to be your sort of larger language models. So they're trained on more parameters and they are able to do more complex reasoning, more complex tasks. So workflow analysis, data processing, more complex tasks, academic research, visual Q&A, research and technology, summarizing complex topics. These are all things that these models can do. And you can see here, I kind of laid out what the best ones are for the type of task that you're looking at. To actually get something executed, like doing an everyday query, to get coaching, to do efficient, um, doing things efficiently. Um, uh, ChatGPT 4.0 is and like I know things like Sonnet 4.0. These are all things. Sorry, Sonnet 3.7 is a good one to do. GPT 4.5 is better for creative writing. and has some emotional intelligence built in. Meta AI is good at social media interactions. Meta AI is really like Llama for marketing and business analytics. It's really, that's kind of its bread and butter. Hybrid tools that can do kind of, a lot of different things. Um, Claude 3.7 Sonnet, very good for coding and debugging. It's creative. It's good for narration. Quen 3, language organization, and it kind of has a good balance of doing these highly logical steps and doing it quickly. So DeepSeek is also a nice, you know, low budget model for as open source, so you can, if you wanted to build and train your own model, isolate it and to keep your maybe proprietary data safe, then you would use something like DeepSeek or Quen. You also want to match your LLM to your value criterion. By that, I mean, if you are concerned about the sort of ethical value system of your LLM model, these are machines that are interacting with you and maybe your children. And so you want to really understand how that they are making choices on what they say. So one of the best um, controlled, I would say, LLMs is the Claude model from Anthropic, because it has a training philosophy built on what is called a constitutional AI, with a strong focus on ethics and pro-social values. And basically what that means is that it uses an alignment mechanism that self-critiques with rule-based principles such as do no harm. Um, because of the strong alignment, you have what is called a strong value emergence tendency, which means that it has used all the information that is learned and kind of built this contextual uh, value emergence based on with some hierarchical taxonomy um, that it's developed as a result of, this training philosophy. And what that means is that in its response behavior, it will frequently reframe things. It will support or resist based on the value context. So I would say it's judging. It's judging based on its constitutional rules that whether or not it supports or wants to resist what you're asking. And if you ask it something that it feels maybe harmful, it will resist answering those questions. It's really designed for high sensitivity use cases, so example in mental health, or to make ethical decisions. And it as a result of all of this is also one of the tools where you can be more sure that your data will be kept private. GPT from OpenAI is kind of moderate to strong in this area. It's really incorporating the human feedback that comes along with this interaction. It has some alignment to be supportive or neutral, but it can occasionally resist unethical prompts. It is designed to be helpful, harmless, and honest. Usually, it's safe to use the defaults, but you can, do some extra prompting to push it in one direction, push it into a more ethical direction, should you like. Llama or Meta is open source. It's pre-trained on internet scale data. It is minimal alignment, so there's no rules. There's not many rules telling it how to behave. So you have weak value emergence. The values can emerge, but they're not consistently reinforced or shaped. It mirrors the user's tone, so the response will depend on the sort of value behavior of the human that is using it. And it's research focused, so it's less safe by default. And Mistral is good for certain types of training, but it puts sparse details on alignments, mostly gives open weights. So that means, if you have some knowledge and experience, you can, you know, do some tweaking yourself, some fine tuning, so that you can build it into what you would like it to be. It's flexible, so you can basically change the safety based on how you get implementation or fine tuning. So it is definitely going to be dependent on the task that you train it on. So now I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about the benefits and risks of AI in education. Of course, we are aware of some of the benefits, just being able to develop all the content, um, do assessments that make sense, that are timely and effective, to give feedback during tutoring in a personalized way, helping creativity and collaboration, operational and administrative efficiency in education. These are all things that are benefits of using AI. However, there's concerns about the potential for plagiarism and academic dishonesty, basically copying whatever the ChatGPT says, or Gemini, which is one that's highly used in schools. Um, there could be diminished student and teacher agency and accountability with the use of something like AI tools. There's a concern for compromised student privacy and unauthorized data collection, so you have to be aware of that. There could be a potential for over-reliance, so basically not learning what you need to learn, but just relying on ChatGPT to give you the answer when you need it. Or you can have this societal bias and lack of cultural sensitivity as a result of using, these somewhat biased tools. Some more information on that can be found at this very nice article on AI guidance for schools for responsible use in education. So I encourage you to take a look at that. So I, in order to maybe filter some of the content that is out there and provide you with some extra information to help guide how you use AI in education for your children or for children you may be teaching, I've put together a few tools, um, and we can go straight to that. Here's the link. Is a tool hub that kind of gives you some information. ChatGPT and Claude, really 13 plus is pretty safe there. You do want to make sure that you check those privacy controls and make sure that they're okay for your use cases. Google Gemini also something that's integrated in Google services, which a lot of schools use. So again, make sure that all of the safety and privacy tools are in place. Grammarly is a tool actually based on um, machine learning, and it's an AI powered writing assistant for grammar, spelling, etc., tone even. Um, Quillbot is a nice little tool that you can add to your as an extension to your browsers to help you with writing. You can maybe you saw the little sort of green icon that popped up when I was doing writing. It's helping me to make sure that I write things correctly and not confuse the chatbots. Perplexity is actually what you call an aggregator that is built on several AI LLM models, and so you can actually see, you can explore some of the other possibilities and do some comparisons. So, it's a great tool for diversity. Um, then this is a nice, we could probably click on that. You can see here this website called Wolfram Alpha. This Wolfram language and Mathematica tool has been around for quite a while. But now it has this AI tool where you can learn, mathematics, physics, chemistry, words and linguistics, politics, geography, history, anything you like. There is a GPT that you can use and basically ask questions the same way we ask a GPT. So definitely a tool worth exploring. Okay. Um, Then I also added in Canmigo, which is another a very useful tool. I think I already have it, but you can go here and go to Canmigo. There's the teacher's tools, teacher tool hub, where you can see some of the different tools are available for teachers. Um, kind of find the parent tool hub. You can look at some of the options that are available, um, some of your learning options. You might want to go through and try that out. Okay. Then, see, the other part of this I wanted to show is some guides. So, how to use AI for studying, right? Um, Getting help with understanding homework problems, or creating study schedules and plans, or practicing for presentations or debates, asking for explanations, or generating practices is something that, it's not very easy to do. So using an AI for that is actually quite a good use of AI technology. For writing, you really want to get feedback on a draft instead of having to write everything. Maybe use it for brainstorming and outlining, generate examples or analogies, but always the student should write the final version themselves. Do some research, um, get some facts, but always verify with primary sources. So always ask the AI for sources, doing math and science, problem solving, explaining concepts with examples, deriving formulas, finding out applications, um, doing practice problem generation again, and visual diagrams and explanations. I can't tell you how many times I've asked for a diagram because I'm just, it's easier for me to learn that way. Here's some safety and privacy guides. Don't share personal identifiers, home addresses or phone numbers, school names or locations, social security or ID numbers, or any private family info. Always understand the privacy policy, understand what the data is, how the data is collected, if conversations are stored, look for data sharing policies, find the opt-out options, and always understand the age requirements. And then use strong passwords, of course, like you would do for any other sort of account. What not to do under academic integrity is to submit AI generated work as your own, use AI for take home exams without permission, having AI write entire essays or assignment, obviously, copying AI responses without attribution, making sure you let people know, or using AI to complete graded assignments. Um, Acceptable use, as I kind of mentioned um, above, always disclose, but also check your school's AI policy, always cite, always be transparent, and always keep records of how you're using your AI. And learning goals, what you want to use it for. Really, you want to develop your own critical thinking skills. So you want to use AI for that. You want to use AI to enhance your knowledge, to build, on what you have learned. Really focus on helping you to understand and practice your original thought and analysis, and build subject matter expertise. For parents, it's good to learn what your kids are doing, ask them how they're using it in school, how they're using AI in general, what the school says about this, the privacy settings, the challenges they're facing. Um, Check what tools they use. Um, Make sure they understand the difference between understanding versus copying. Check the privacy and safety practices. Look at their assignment completion patterns to make sure that they are not just using AI to complete the assignments without um, any input or understanding. To support, you should learn AI yourself, discuss the ethical use with your children regularly, help evaluate AI generated content, take a look at what they're submitting, encourage critical thinking, and stay informed about any new developments. Some red flags is if you see a sudden improvement in work quality, or reluctance to explain, or over reliance on AI for basic tasks. These are definitely red flags. If they are avoiding teacher interactions or sharing personal information online, you definitely want to look at that. And then also here's some additional resources so you can learn more. This MIT Technology Review is a great place to get educational articles, and you can subscribe, I believe, and stay connected to what's happening. Okay. All right. So I wanted to share this as an example of, why you really should pay attention and check the information that these chatbots are giving you. I put together this table on the best AI chat tools for education. And it gave me these as the top five. And ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and Claude are all up in the top five, but this one, Socratic, was one that had been developed for homework help for K to 12 students, and this was bought by Google, and now it no longer exists. So I suppose Google decided to just kind of shut it down. This was a table based on data from 2025. Here's the sources. However, because things are moving so quickly, this is no longer, correct information. So an example of why you should check. Um, okay, so I kind of went through some of these when we were looking at the AI tool hub, and one of the things I do want to show you though is Sora, which is an open AI tool for generating images, and these are all images generated through prompting of this tool. And the people in AI tools were really excited to see this. It's really quite nice. And it can generate, a variety of tools, of images, realistic looking or really fantastic kinds of images based on the prompts. So now people are creating, coming up with all kinds of interesting pictures. And one of the problems we have now is that we can't tell the difference between what's AI generated and what is actually real, which, we're going to have to try to figure that one out. But it's quite fascinating. So, again, there's a free level to this. So check it out, enjoy, create some funky things. Personal development. This is really something that I definitely have used these LLMs for over the past few months. Here's some prompts that you could use for improving productivity. Help me analyze my biggest challenge while maintaining productivity. Identify a great opportunity where I could improve and suggest a daily exercise to practice or enhance to enhance my productivity levels. And if you have not been interacting with an LLM, you might want to add in this question here, which is ask me 10 to 20 questions, whatever you have time for, one question at a time to improve your insight. If you really haven't been interacting, really doesn't know you that well, so this is a way to get it to get some information about you. But here's another one, how to maintain focus, how to build discipline, or even, this what would Jesus do prompt, which, I find quite interesting, but, even look at it from different perspectives. And, anything you can imagine, anything you want to build or grow. I've definitely asked questions about, how to build a business, what are the steps, how to write an app, anything that you can think of that you're interested in, go ahead and give it a try. All right, so what's next? Really, you should get comfortable with LLMs. They're part of our lives now. It's going to be this way for a while. It's really going to help you to grow, to learn. It's also learning how to use AI tools, basically tools that are built on these AI models, is going to help you solve problems in your life, but also in your careers, in your business, in learning new hobbies, in any types of dreams you may have. This is something that is going to allow you to explore all of those things. These I can't tell you the number of the amount of fascinating information I've learned in, I would say, the past, 6 to 8 months, just because I have increased my understanding of how to interact with LLMs. Also, spend time making sure you prioritize teaching your children to be safe with AI. They are going to use it, it is going to be part of their lives. Help them learn how to do it responsibly and safely. Also, I always suggest subscribing to some sort of AI newsletter. You can even ask ChatGPT or Claude, what's a good AI newsletter for someone who is at the level of X? And, maybe you can find something that way, and kind of, do subscriptions and then eventually pick one. Um, right. Also, find ways to learn more about the technical side. And here's some resources on prompting. Learning how to prompt efficiently, effectively will really improve the quality of your interactions with LLMs. So I encourage you um, to learn more technical information. I appreciate you coming today. It was great to be able to talk to you about some of these tools. Here is an exit survey. It would be great if you could um, take your phone, use this QR code, fill out the survey, and give us some feedback. We're interested in other things you may be interested in. The High is committed to providing educational opportunities and building a community that is growing in learning about their health and education. And we're trying to help our fellow countrymen in Dominica, but also all over the Caribbean. So please share with your friends. Um, Go to the High to learn more about the organization or volunteer or donate. And then also check out this is our with the AI tool hub that I just shared with you. You can check that out. We will be, constantly updating and building our AI tool hub. So please feel free to visit. If you'd like to connect with me, you send me email or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Here's the QR code. Thank you so much for your time.